Hello, ladies and gentlemen. I hope you are well. It is no secret that I am a giant Yu-Gi-Oh fan, and I wanted to talk about my favorite archetype today, Gravekeepers. Gravekeepers originated in the GX era, and they generally are a bunch of monsters and cards centered around supporting the field spell Necro Valley. They are, in a lot of ways, they were for a long time better ice barriers, but now that ice barriers have their own structure deck and better cards, my beloved Gravekeepers have fallen further into irrelevancy. Before you is a deck I have built. It is a deck that does what it can do and accepts what it cannot, and I'm sure there are other deck smiths out there that have made better decks than me, but this is what a Yu-Gi-Oh deck looks like in the year of our Lord 2023. And this is the actual cards that are worth playing in that deck that are in archetype. So this is the title of this video is How to Fix Gravekeepers, and I wanted to start by first analyzing the cards that are actually worth playing and why. Almost all of these cards are being played out at in 3-ofs, with the exception of maybe Hidden Temples of Necro Valley. You have Gravekeeper's Commandant, which gets you Necro Valley to hand. You have Necro Valley Throne, which is a double summon and a e-call on all in one, but you can only use one per turn. I feel like the desperation for searches and the desperation for extra normal summons, because the deck is unbelievably normal summon reliant. I feel like you can only activate activating one. I feel like if they said here you can only activate each effect of Necro Valley Throne once per turn, that would have made the card so much more impactful, but they didn't. Royal Tribute. This card was banned for a good number of years because it is mean, and it is still mean and still broken on some level, but it is not so broken that it can't be at a 3 right now. Necro Valley, Hidden Temples of Necro Valley. It Xeno locks you and your opponent into Gravekeepers only. Only Gravekeepers can be special summoned. It dies to a gust of wind if either Necro Valley or a Gravekeepers monster is not on the field. Necro Valley itself. This card basically once a card is in the graveyard, it cannot leave. Any effects that would require it to be a card to be banished, sent back to the deck, added to the hand, those effects just don't happen. Effects like, say, I don't know, I'd say a Gravekeeper's Commandant, which is this card, which basically the effect activates in the graveyard when it's sent there. Those effects still happen, and Gravekeepers also have cards like Shaman, which basically prevent cards that aren't Gravekeepers or Necro Valley cards from being activated in the graveyard. It's a whole thing. And lastly, the preeminent boss monster of the deck, the Gravekeeper Supernaturalist, is a big Bingus that gains attack based on the levels of the monsters used to summon it. And while Necro Valley is on the field, this card and any card in your field zone cannot be destroyed by card effects. So it's a big Bingus, it protects your Necro Valley, and during the end phase, you're able to search a card. Why you weren't able to do it in the main phase when you activated its effect, God only knows, but unfortunately, that is where we are. This support came out in 2018. I want to remind everybody that in 2018, that was the Orcust, Salamangreat, Thunder Dragon, Sky Striker format. Like it was toss format, so I get it, but frankly, there were better cards being printed, and my Gravekeepers got shafted too. So now that we've gone over the only good cards in the archetype, this is not enough to make 40. This is what? 3, 6, 9, 12, 15 cards in the main deck total, 3 in the extra. I wanted to take this point to start having a conversation about what the archetype actually needs. So the archetype, in essence, well, we need our own branded fusion. Branded fusion meaning being able to special summon a monster from the extra deck that's a Gravekeepers, that using cards from your hand, deck, or field. And this spell should, and ideally Xenolock, should be only used for Gravekeepers, and should probably have some type of interaction where you can banish this card from the graveyard. If this card is in the graveyard, you can banish it and add one Necro Valley or Gravekeeper's spell trap from your deck to your hand. And then obviously have the clause, this card is unaffected by Necro Valley. That would be great. Another thing we need is our own a Cyber Dragon card. So with the things like Tier Elements, Runic, and Master Duel, and all of these shenanigans running around, frankly, one of the things that this deck really, really needs is an on-summon searcher that can be special summoned. Whether, have it have the effect when this card, if there are no monsters on your field, or Necro Valley is in your field zone, you can special summon this card from your hand. And then when this card, and then have one that says when this card is normal or special summoned, add one Gravekeepers monster from your deck to your hand. Then you could go into Supernaturalist and use your normal summon for that, because the two things that this deck needs is better access to tools that better searching ability and less reliance on the normal summon. So I've suggested a branded fusion type of fusion card, since obviously they're doing something with fusions. The second thing we will need is a monster that can be special summoned. The third thing we're going to need is a new fusion monster. And that fusion monster, while should ideally have a negate on it. It should have a negate. It should be unaffected. It should, while Necro Valley is, it should have an effect that protects all your other protects your other cards as well, protects it and all your other cards as well. Basically, a Gravekeepers Supernaturalist plus. I frankly think Supernaturalist should be errated to have the search effect happen in the main phase, because the fact that it has to happen during the end phase is absurd. It is one of two or three competent search effects in this deck, and the fact that it is like that is abysmal. The only other thing I would probably say that the deck needs is maybe a continuous trap, a new continuous or a continuous spell that you can place on the field and says this card is always treated as Necro Valley. That will that basically gives you some kind of that basically functions as a field barrier. This card is always treated as Necro Valley. If Necro Valley is in your field spell zone, new field spells cannot be activated by either player. And then maybe have a on summon effect where it says once per turn and only once. If a Gravekeepers monster is normal or special summoned to your field, draw one card. You can only use this effect once per. You cannot summon monsters except Gravekeepers monsters for the rest of this for during the turn that you activate this effect. You can only activate this effect once per turn and only once that turn. That would effectively, that would effectively give you turn on cards that needed to have Necro Valley on the field. It would give you a little bit of extra draw power. Which, to be fair, this deck is so hungry for draw power that adding an effect like that wouldn't be broken. It adds protection to your Necro Valley, which this deck is the very definition of defend the field spell. If you don't defend the field spell, you don't do things. So that is very, very important. I think that cards like these would be very, very valuable. Like, we got a little bit of support with the Ishizu cards, but even then, only 2 cards mention Gravekeepers at all. And even then, the whole principle of the Shizu tier element cards are run antithetical to the Gravekeepers playstyle, which is unfortunate. I'm hoping that we can get a... I know that Gravekeepers will never get will never get a structure deck with a bunch of new cards, but a guy can dream. There's a lot of other archetypes that are ahead of us, and, well, whenever there is new support, I'm giddy. I was happy about the tier element, the Shizu support, even if it wasn't ideal. Anywho, ladies and gentlemen, thank you so much for watching. I appreciate you. I apologize for the, frankly, me dropping the ball on the previous version of this video. I know it was a problem. It was a pain in the ass. I almost forgot. Link monster that searches the field spell. Like Striker Dragon. But I digress. The point is that video's over. Thank you so very much for watching. A big thank you to my patrons for supporting the show. A big thanks to my Discord community. If you want to join the Discord and chit chat with me directly and just join the pretty cool community, please consider hitting the join link down below at HIMedia at discord.gg/HIMedia. I appreciate your faces. You guys have a wonderful, wonderful rest of your day, and I will see you guys next time.